if you look at it right, women's hormones actually, you started to realize, especially for women age of 27, 28, they started to build a belly.
Right, 27, 20, okay.
Yeah, they started to build a belly because it's a preparation of the menopause. Because the preparation menopause is about 20 years. If they
Really?
Yeah, if 27 years old, you started to build a belly, plus 20 years old, which is 47, that's the time probably you have your menopause. Yeah, so if you realize that if you do manage your insulin resistance properly, which means your hormone is actually properly, it can last longer.
Today we speak about one of my favorite topics, which is nutrition. And in the studio we have Miss Jiun Chew, a former financier turned naturopath. And Miss Jiun Chew is a certified naturopath and a nutritional coach.
Correct.
Yeah, and she's going to talk about food, about nutrition, and most importantly, a subject that not many people know about, which is insulin resistance. Ms. Jiun, welcome to Ask the Boss podcast. Could you tell us what is naturopathy and why did you choose to be a naturopath and nutritional coach?
Okay, hi. Thank you for having me here today. It's my honor. Naturopathy is a way of actually having our body to be able to heal ourselves. So by using holistic remedies, for example, or even changing of a lifestyle through nutrition and diets. In fact, also, for example, I believe many people have heard about aromatherapy. It's actually part of the natural therapies as well.
Right, okay.
So what happened is how actually I turned from UK financial consultant to become a natural therapist. Mainly is because I wasn't able to conceive before because I was so stressed when I was in UK. Being a financial consultant, all the time that we are always in a very stress level. And due to that, one of the reasons, then I realized that I've been trying baby for years. Why am I still not having it? So I started to look for answer. What happened to my body? And why actually I couldn't do that. So that is how actually I started to realize one very important secret, which is our cell is the best doctor of all. So the reason why actually our cells started to become not able to function like it used to be, mainly is because there are lack of nutrients and also because of the way we have been eating, our lifestyles, and that's how actually it causes that. And this is how actually I started to look in more details that I realized that insulin resistance is one of the main cause of most of the diseases.
So you couldn't conceive, so you went the natural way.
Correct.
What made you decide to go the natural way, as in naturopathy, and not conventional medicine?
In fact, I did try the conventional
You did
medicine.
try conventional medicine
Yes.
as well.
I didn't go for IVF because I realized there's lots of side effects. I was hoping that if I can go for natural way. So I went for the TCM as well. I also went for medications, like the normal medications. But it's still not. It seems to be nothing wrong with me. Even the doctor was saying that. But it's just somehow it just couldn't happen. So and my husband is the only son. So the pressure come to me, you see. So this is how actually I was thinking, since I already tried all that, why don't I go for something different? Maybe that's the root cause of it. This is why I started to look for the root cause. Why is this happening? So this is how actually I started.
And you mentioned nutrition and insulin resistance.
Correct.
So was that part of what you were facing at the time?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. And also not just that, I realized that because my body was actually lack of nutrients. Why would I be saying that? Because I got the symptom of insulin resistance as well. Yes.
So you actually recognize you are having some common symptom of insulin resistance.
Correct. Especially, I believe this is something which is very common. After food, we feel tired.
So those are the red flags.
Correct. And that's the one of the very simple symptom that we could have recognized straight away. Yeah, so you see, look at the kids. After they eat, right, they don't feel tired.
Yeah.
Why are we feeling tired straight after the food? Yeah, of course, it's because the sugar has spiked up, and that's how actually we started to have low energy level and we feel sleepy and we wanted to sleep.
Right. And on sugar spike, I've done some research on the numbers.
Yeah.
If I can just read it out.
Yes.
Yeah. This is from the Sun newspaper. It reported that in the 2023 National Health and Morbidity Survey, 54.4% of Malaysians are overweight and obese.
Yes.
Compared to 50.1% in 2019. It's an increase in 4% over how many years is that? Over 4 years.
Yes.
And almost 2.3 million adults in Malaysia live with 3 types of non-communicable disease, such as diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and heart disease. And the report gives some reasons for the prevalence of this, which is high blood sugar.
Correct.
And this leads to insulin resistance.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about how all this is connected? High blood sugar, insulin resistance, obesity. So these are all daily issues that people face in their food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is very important issue that is actually facing by most of the Asians because we eat rice every day. Is that correct?
True.
So because most of the time they will be eating rice all the time and noodles and bread and stuff. So these are the food that actually will cause insulin resistance.
Right.
So maybe probably I will start with why actually insulin resistant in the beginning. So insulin resistant is just like, make it an example, our body cell is actually a house. Okay, so what happened is we got a lock. And to let the glucose to go into our cell to be able to generate energy, you needed a key. And that key is insulin.
Right.
So once actually we keep on having high GI food and sugary food, and this is how actually the lock easily get jammed because inflamed, and also it become not sensitive anymore because it keep on spiking up all the time. And this is how actually once our lock is not able to open, our pancreas thought we need more insulin. So it produces more, but it didn't manage to open. So all the glucose, because we keep on having high GI food, so all the glucose couldn't get into the cell, it will actually floating in the bloodstream. So once actually it float in the bloodstream, that's how actually the glucose level has spiked up. So you see, most of the people, they didn't even notice because when we go for blood test report, it seems to be still within the range. It's still 5.5 and the HbA1c is still fine. But in fact, there's already symptoms, just like what I mentioned just now. For example, you get easily tired after the food because remember, the spike up the glucose, no energy actually went into the cell. So the cell cannot generate more energy. So this is how actually it will make it worsen and worsen because your pancreas will become more not sensitive for productions of the insulin. So down along the line, like what you have mentioned earlier on, why diabetic? So much of diabetic. I mean, so many people are having diabetic nowadays. And why actually people keep on become obese? Because of the food that we've been taking is no longer like used to be, lack nutrients, and also high glycemic index as well. And with all the processed food that we have been taking as well, that is going to make it worse. So before we know that, it actually happened years before it started to diagnose with all those diseases.
For someone who would like to eat rice every day or meat, chicken, sometimes we go for a party or, we have no choice but to eat whatever that's served to us. But what can we eat later on to balance back whatever that we wrongly ate earlier?
Okay. Of course, we can choose the food that we be eating. That's the first thing. We try to look for low glycemic index food. For example, if we choose rice, because I think in Asians, we cannot avoid rice. It's like be part of our life. Yes.
Nice.
I used to tell my customers that you need to take less rice. Then they were telling me that there's no way actually I can stop. I've been taking this ever since I was kids. And I don't feel that I'm full if I'm not eating it. So this is how actually I started to advise them to take the correct glycemic index rice. Okay, so you probably the next question you're asking me.
What kind of rice?
Okay, basmati.
Right.
So if you go to the supermarket, you go for the rice where the rice sections is, some of them even actually certified by NADI, National Association of Diabetic Institute.
So you have to look for that label.
If you do have, that's confirmed. Otherwise, most of the basmati rice, they are. But of course, with the certifications, then you'll be more certified, I guess.
All right, interesting.
But, you know, being Asians, we like the starchy rice.
Correct.
Basmati is like,
It's not fulfilling.
you know, it's have to train the body to like
nice, like fragrant rice.
When I cook basmati for my kids, they say, "Oh, I don't like this basmati rice. Can you cook the usual one?" So I have to cook 2 different rice at home if I were to cook rice. You know, so I'm used to it.
But the Japanese are so healthy.
Yeah.
And their rice, I feel, is starchy.
Yeah.
So
what about
still
Japanese?
high?
Still high.
Yeah. But you see, Japanese, they eat a lots of the way they eat the food, they don't mix it together most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, mean meats.
So actually, you have to plan your meal. Like you eat your protein first, is it right?
Okay.
And then
How do you get your fiber first?
Fiber
Because
first.
once actually you take more fiber, it will reduce down the food glycemic index.
Right.
That's why we always been saying, you know, last time we have the plates, right? More rice, meat, and then the least one is
This one is always
if you're taking, you know, when we eat out, like for example, chicken rice, how many pieces of veggie did you have?
very little. Just a cucumbers and 1 piece of
Correct.
tomato. Right?
Correct. And this is how actually you realize that it's not the right way of eating it. And this is why it leads to insulin resistance. So the best thing is fiber first, which is veggies. Okay, green, leafy veggie, or even broccoli if you like broccoli.
Yeah, I like broccoli.
Yeah, that will be the best food before you actually have the rest of it. Okay, the carbo probably is not the main portions. The veggie is the main portions. Okay, proteins and also with the rice as well. Yeah, so this is how actually you realize that if you eat that way, it will at least to lower down the food GI that you have.
What's the ratio? Vegetables, how many percent?
Okay, vegetables as much as you can, of course.
Okay,
if you can put 50%, that would be great. And proteins and actually carbohydrates, right? It's actually needed as well. It's needed quite a high portions. Okay, because if you lack of carbo, you won't have glucose. So you will feel tired. And even for that, you will crave for more food.
Yeah, true.
And you started to feel like brain fog as well, memory loss as well. So it's all needed to be in that way. Yeah.
I suppose if you're more active, you can afford to take more carbohydrates.
Because you burn it off as well. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So all this blood swimming in the all this sugar swimming in the blood.
Correct, yeah.
So that causes insulin resistance. Or rather, insulin resistance causes all this sugar to be floating around in the blood.
Yes,
right?
Insulin resistant causes the glucose floating a lot in the blood.
Sugar floating in the blood. And this sugar, when it comes to obesity, so the sugar is converted into fat.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And furthermore, insulin is actually another hormone. They name it as a storing fat hormones. Because you have insulin resistant, more insulin actually was forced to produce, which means you have more fat storing hormone in your body. By all means, become obese. Because whatever you eat, you still become fat.
Yeah. And the brain fog and the fatigue, that happens at the cellular level because it's not getting enough sugar and enough glucose, which will turn into energy.
Yes, correct.
I see the link now. Yeah. And we were talking about rice.
Yeah.
So what kind of what are the good carbohydrates?
Okay, what kind of good
besides
basmati rice, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you look at it right, many people are taking like bihun. They thought is actually is a very good. It's very light, like bihun soup, fried bihun. Sorry to say, glycemic index, we actually have the range 55 and below is actually considered healthy. 55 to 70 is actually medium. 70 and above is very high. The glucose actually we have is actually 100. Bihun, fried bihun particularly, is 99.
Fried bihun, huh?
Yeah.
I always order fried bihun when I go out for lunch. Your favorite Singapore bihun. No, what is your Singapore bihun? It's my favorite.
Sorry.
I thought it's healthier than rice.
That's all of us actually thought. Yeah. Because remember, what does bihun made from?
Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's processed.
Because it's processed. That's why.
Yes.
So bihun is worse than basmati rice, I would say.
Basmati rice is actually low GI. So bihun is actually not so. Yeah. Unless I give you an alternative.
Tell me.
In the market actually right now, and lately I've been going to the supermarkets. I was looking for the food because I always love to see what actually, because in Australia it's very common. Every food is actually, they name the glycemic index on it. But Malaysia, they are not so popular yet. Not until there yet. So I realized lately there's one bihun, vermicelli, is actually slightly thicker.
And brown. The color is a bit
brown. Brown. As actually it's a low glycemic index. So at least you have a choice of that that you can take. But if you go outside, probably not.
It's difficult.
What about all this organic bihun and noodles made from? They say it's made from pumpkin. It's made from spinach. You see that quite a bit in the supermarkets now. Is that better?
I won't really wanted to comment on that because if you look at it right, once actually it was processed, it probably is not like what we expect it to be. It probably was just a name of it. But of course, I cannot deny, if it mixed with a fiber, then of course it will be slightly better. Spinach probably will be better than the pumpkin because pumpkin normally is actually slightly higher GI as well. Yeah.
I got to stop my pumpkin. I love pumpkin.
The way the food is cooked affects the GI as well.
It does.
So like, for example, you were mentioning before we started the podcast. We had a conversation on how we like to cook our food, and you like to grill your food, and that affects the GI.
So make it one examples like potatoes, because potatoes is a choice of food that we actually can have a different way of cooking it. Okay, the potato itself is actually, the GI is about 20 to 30 because of the starch resistance. So it doesn't release, it's hard. So remember, you just need to remember one thing. Anything is soft, it's actually, most of them are high GI. Something which is harder, it releases the sugar or the glucose, when we say that, slower. So once actually slower, it won't spike up the glucose, so the insulin won't be resistant in a sense. So when we come back to the potatoes, right? Potato before it cooks is actually hard. But once actually it boiled, it becomes softer. And when you smash it, even more softer. So smashed potato is actually very high GI.
Oh
gosh, so we have to change the way we eat now, right? And how we prepare our food.
So what is the best way to cook potatoes?
Okay, if
you can't eat it raw.
Okay, with the skin on, that's the first thing. With the skin on when you cook it. And if let's say if we grill is still not the best choice because it's still high GI. If you were to say to boil it, you don't smash it first, but you make it until it's cold. So you don't eat it hot.
Okay. Oh, right.
Of course, if you say potatoes having like French fries and stuff, because with the oil, actually the processed oil will make more trans fats. Once actually more trans fat, it will cause more inflammations in your cell. So more inflammations in your cell, which means your log will be jammed more. So this is how actually it will lead to more insulin will need to be produced as well. So by all means, that anything with the skin, which is better because it will at least to reduce the GI of the food. But the best thing is you probably mix with more green leafy vegetables when we are taking the potatoes.
Greener the better.
The more fiber actually has, the better it is, because the fiber is hard to digest. So which means the release of the glucose will be slower. So once it's slower, then you won't spike up. It was simple as that.
So fiber, I suppose protein.
Yeah.
Fiber first, and eat your chicken, and the last would be the rice.
Yes, correct. But like Asians, we all mix together.
Yeah, because we have this nasi campur, right?
Correct.
We all love nasi campur.
That is why it's like destiny, right?
Yeah.
That most of us will have that three heights: high glucose, hypertension, and also high cholesterol as well, due to the reason the way we eat. Because if you look at it, if we Western, they actually separate out. They don't eat it in such way. But we has been mixing everything together. So this is why more actually diabetic in Asian country is actually keep on rising because of the food of eating as well.
And Jiun, there are days I feel that I don't eat well, and I say, okay, never mind. I will supplement it with, like vitamins and all that. And it made me less guilty because I know that I cover this, and cover that.
Correct.
But what do you think about all these supplements? Do you, after eating right, do you also need to have supplements?
Okay. First of all, by eating right, we need 5 types of fruits and vegetables. I think most of us, it's very difficult to achieve.
Yeah, it's difficult. Especially when you're always on the run.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not just only that, our body will need 59 types of nutrients.
59.
Yeah. And they divided to macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients is like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and also fiber. That's this bigger chunk of it. Those are the things that we've been eating most of the time. The micronutrient is the one that is actually very lack of, which is the vitamin, antioxidants, and the minerals. So when actually when you mentioned just now, if you're not eating, probably, if you're not eating well, then probably it's something that we are starving ourselves most of the time. And the thing is, it won't let you know until the symptom come in. It just started to have some health issue, which means like, for example, some people have like constipations, or migraines. It started to have that kind of symptom, but not come to chronic diseases yet, or degenerative diseases. But it's a journey started to getting there very closely. So when come back to the question just now you mentioned, do we need to take all these supplementations? We need to, because it's too difficult for us to achieve that. Even though, for example, you are eating enough veggie, for example, or fruits. Okay, we used to say an apple a day keeps the doctors away. Right now, do you know how many apples that you need to eat before actually you can achieve that?
Tell us.
Because of the way they plant it, they use a lot of chemical fertilizers and also a lot of pesticides and replant, not waiting for the soil to be refertilized again. And you will realize that you need 30 apples per day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So this is why we are not able to achieve that. And supplementation is to help us to supplement whatever actually nutrients that we need, but we are not getting it enough from the food because we couldn't eat that much. That's the main reason.
Going back to just food and how it affects our overall health. So we spoke about the correct type of carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fiber. But to block the carbohydrates from turning into sugar, I was told that sometimes it's advisable, not sometimes, but it's advisable to take some apple cider vinegar about half an hour before the meal, so that will block the sugar spike. Does that work?
Okay. If you're actually taking apple cider, it depends on individuals really, because not everyone can take
but
if you mix it with honey, or with water, not just directly, but
you dilute it before you actually.
I did that in the morning, so I put apple cider and I put honey and some warm water and I mix it and drink.
Okay, apple ciders, for example, any vinegars as well, it's actually good for our health because as we age, right, our stomach acids is actually not able to produce so quality anymore. That will actually help on that. But if let's say actually if you have an empty stomach and you're taking that, the high chances that you might have easily get gastric issues.
It's acidic.
Yes, it's acidic. So it depends on, I think the best way is actually you avoid the high glycemic index food and taking the low GI food together. If you actually can combine with your food that related to your blood type, that will be able to...
I was just about to ask, the blood type.
Yeah, that will be able to help you to have least chances to get the insulin resistance.
Like for me, I'm type A. So I'm not supposed to eat a lot of red meat.
Yes.
And that's another one more. Yeah, but I love
dairies.
Dairies, yeah. I love my yogurt. And I love my meat. So how to balance that? If I will, I eat like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe we can ask June first on all the blood types and what food the different blood types should eat.
What we should not should not.
Yeah.
Okay. I think because today our topic is about insulin resistance, so I will focus more on the food that probably will make your insulin resistance, right? Okay, for example, type O. Okay, type O, they have actually high stomach acid level. So they are suitable to take meat compared to A. Okay. All right, but there's certain veggie they shouldn't be eating at all. Because immediately, even a little bit, it was started to make the insulin resistant habits. For example, corn, sweet corn. Another one is actually the eggplants or the aubergines.
All right.
So those are the veggie that will immediately have the effect of this insulin resistance. So if, let's say, actually down along the line, you keep on eating it, diabetic is the answer for it. Because at first, maybe I want to talk about a bit why I was focused on the blood type diet as well.
Yeah, you're right, according to your blood type.
Correct. Because last time I was always thinking, when I was doing the research and I started to have these studies in naturopathy, I was just started to think, right, why actually some people eating this, no issue with them. Some people eating this, they actually have a high issue with them. Then I started to realize that individual of us, we actually have different genetic. And even for the blood type, we are different. So then I started to realize there's studies about the blood type diet. Then I was just thinking as well, will it be really accurate? So because I got many customers, so I advise them based on their blood types. And amazingly, they see a drastic improvement in their health, especially vegetarians. Because there's come to a few vegetarians, quite a number of vegetarians, because most of the time vegetarian, they'll be taking like sweet corns, eggplants, ladyfingers, tomatoes, that kind of veggie most of the time. In fact, they are the one who's actually have the 3 hearts.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Then when I actually interview what kind of blood type they are, either they are O, either they are B. And these are the 2 blood types which is very prone to insulin resistant if they are actually taking sweet corns and also the eggplants. Yes. So as the AB, because as long as there's a B, it will be actually in that way. So this is the main reasons. Then I started to look more into details on the diet. But of course, in a family, everyone's probably have a very different, for example, probably for me, myself is actually B, my husband is actually O, and my mom is A. So basically, none of the food that we actually can eat, right?
Yeah.
So we come to a conclusion that only certain food, we try to avoid it because it's like a really killer in a sense. So we try to avoid that as well. So where I mentioned, blood type O, we will try to avoid eggplants and also sweet corns. Okay. For blood type A, sorry to say, you have to become a vegetarian.
I have to be a vegetarian.
The reason why actually blood type A has to be vegetarians because their stomach acid level is very low.
Right.
They couldn't really digest any red meat.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't have the enzyme of pepsin or protease, which is to digest the protein from the meat.
Yeah, but the good news is I can eat any kind of vegetable.
Correct.
Including the eggplants.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And for type B, they are not prone to, they completely cannot eat chickens. Yeah, because it will slow down their metabolism. Chickens, wheat, this kind of food, and eggplants and sweet corn is another two types of food actually will cause the insulin resistance. And for AB, it's a mixture of A and B. So it's quite similar. So once actually we know that, we try to avoid the food that we can't eat. That's how actually down along the line, we will be at least healthy halfway through. Yeah, before actually it happens.
For those who can't take meat, like for example, I'm also blood type A, and you were mentioning that the stomach doesn't digest.
Yeah, because the low stomach acid levels.
Is it a hard and fast rule? Does it apply to everyone? Because like for myself, I find that I'm okay with meat, but is something happening inside which I'm not aware of? Yeah, because I do not have a problem with digesting whatever I eat, especially meat, because I love meat and I need meat for proteins. I'm not too sure about vegetarian diet. I don't think I can take much dal. And I'll let you.
I can completely understand.
So how does it work?
By natural way, is actually the best diet is supposed to be a vegetarian diet. So if let's say, I mean, like what we have been talking about nowadays, if you want to be very strict with that, it's very difficult, especially when we eat out, you hardly any veggies outside as well. So what you can actually do is you cut down the red meats or you supplement with the enzyme, because remember just now I mentioned blood type A doesn't have the enzyme of protease and pepsins to digest the meat. So probably you don't feel much of indigestions, but it probably will have another issue, that heart issue later on. So most of the blood type A, they are very prone to heart issue or high cholesterol issue as well, because they couldn't really able to dissolve the meat was actually we've been taking in. So the best thing is actually you can supplement with enzyme, digestive enzyme, or just now you mentioned with the vinegars, because just now, because your blood type A.
So I can take that.
Yeah, because you tend to have low, so you can increase a bit. Of course, for people who've got gastric, then probably it's not advisable.
So you can take that vinegar after food then, so that we can avoid to have
yes problems. So it's actually increased, because before that, then probably it will be gastric issue. After that, probably it's like mixture with the food. Then it was not too bad. Then this is, well, of course, with the water, you don't drink too much of it.
You're mentioning you can supplement the enzyme.
Yes.
How is that?
Okay, there's many supplements in the market actually has contained the enzyme to digest proteins. So okay, for example, some of them actually contains a pineapple's enzyme and papaya enzyme. They call it bromelains. Okay, so this is actually able to dissolve, help you to digest the red meat actually you've been taking in. So if you want to take red meats, the best thing is actually you take enzyme before actually the food is.
Right.
Yeah, then that would be the best.
Okay. So that applies to just red meat. What about chicken? Chicken is okay?
Anything that is protein meat.
Anything that's meat.
What about eggs?
Eggs is more universal. Any blood type they can take, right? So it's not too bad. But the best actually protein that should be taking, it should be come from the plant base, like soy. Will be your best friend.
Tempeh?
Yeah. Tempeh will be very good. Tempeh is very good for your blood types. That is actually.
I've been taking a lot lately.
Oh, good. Good. You make a right choice.
That's right.
Yeah. Else then probably you should take more pineapples as well.
Yeah. Pineapple juice.
Not juice.
Oh, not juice, just the fruit.
Yeah, just
I juice it sometimes because it tastes better.
The reason why we don't really advise of taking more juice is because it's too concentrated. So the sugar has a lot of concentrations, and that's how actually you spike up your glucose again. So chewing it is the best way. Because the more the way you chew, the more enzyme will be produced, because your body intends to know that you are digesting.
And we're talking about concentration.
Yeah.
I was told that the enzymes should also not be too diluted by drinking water together with a meal.
Correct.
Right. So how early or how late should I leave the water?
Okay.
Drinking water with the meal or after the meal?
The best thing is actually before, for example, rather than not just only water, even actually soup. The best way is actually 15 minutes to 30 minutes. 30 minutes the best. But most of us, when we eat out, we probably won't be waiting there for half an hour before for the next food. So it's actually the best is actually about half an hour. And after the meal is actually still the same, about 30 to 40 minutes. That will be great. Yeah, so around that sessions. But of course, the best is not too much of water as well, because it's diluted the stomach acids as well.
And soup is also not a recommended condiment of food that comes together with meal.
Yeah, when I was kids, right? I'm not sure about most of the family is, but our family used to, because we want to make it easier to feed the children. We always put soup with the rice and just feeding them.
Easy.
Yeah, but it's not very good because it could actually, once actually you were taking that, our body, right, intend to spike up the glucose very fast and your insulin resistance happen. And this is how actually your stomach, because it drastic drop, because lots of insulin was produced, drastic drop of the glucose, your body alarm. So you produce more and more stomach acid to let you know that you need to have more food to increase back the glucose. So down along the line, right, it will make you easily have acid reflux as well. So people will actually drink a lot of water after the meal, or taking the soup mixed with the rice. By the end, when they age, they started to realize that it's very difficult to digest, or they will actually have acid reflux most of the time. So the way we eat is actually will determine what kind of life that we have when we age. We're still fine now because we're still young. All the function is still functioning well, but once we age, the engines will slow down. So that's the time that you will really suffer after that.
So how early do you start with no soup? Like from what age? Like when a kid, for example, they want soup. Especially when you go and have chicken rice, it comes with soup. Say, my kids are all much older now, but say if I have a 10-year-old, do I tell the 10-year-old don't take soup? Yeah, really? In fact, actually, that early?
We don't even build that habits when they were kids.
Oh, I see.
When they're even baby. If you look at it, why the Western, they don't need soup to with the food that actually they were taking. But why actually Asians, because it's a way of us of eating them. So the earlier we actually educate our children, the healthier they will be when they age. So it's just about education, because we are what we eat.
We're changing the eating habit.
Correct. And we inherit from our parents.
But you mentioned about the Westerners. They don't eat soup together with their meal, but they drink wine. How about that?
Alcohol, I think, for example, for blood types, right? Alcohol is, especially for AB, is actually not good for them at all.
Right.
Yeah, it's not good for them at all. So in fact, that actually what we're talking about, we were taking the food, straight after that we're having drinks, it's still not the best. Of course, if you look at it, right, many people were saying that drinking wine every day would be good. It probably not in Malaysia, because our weather is too hot.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not really suit for our body, but it actually suit for Western people, but it doesn't really suit for
cold
us.
weather.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's how it should.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the food as well, because I don't know how far this is true. They were saying don't take too much salmon because it's got parasites. And my answer to that was, but in Japan, they have lots of salmon. When the answer to that was, but in Japan, they have beer together with the salmon. So that kills off the parasite. So,
That's actually right. You're talking about
sashimi. We have raw salmon.
Okay, salmon actually, if you look at it, right, because if you look at it, the way they treat it, in Malaysia, do we actually raise any salmon in Malaysia?
No,
not right. That's the difference,
right?
Because it's actually it's not natural fish that we actually have here. And by the time it reach here, it probably will be already too long. Yeah. So I don't think I don't think it's like Asians. It's not saying that we prohibit this food. It's not saying that the food is no good. But we have to understand in this country, the food, how it came, is actually take longer time.
Farm salmon. They say farm salmon has got lots of parasites, but not the natural ones. I mean, the ones from the sea.
But if you look at it right now, the sea has been polluted so much as well. So especially because salmon is a big fish, the more heavy metal actually will contain in the big fish. There's a research actually has been saying, because many people are saying that salmon has a very good source of omega-3. But because of the pollutions, salmon actually has the most heavy metal compared to all other fish. So if we are taking fish itself, right, the best is actually taking smaller fish, like sardines, mackerels, not so expensive fish, but they are least heavy metal compared to salmon.
Okay.
Smaller fish.
Smaller fish.
So let's look for smaller fish when we do grocery.
In terms of supplements, proteins.
Yes.
It's so difficult to get enough proteins in our diet.
Yeah.
How safe are protein powders?
Okay, it depends. Some protein powders is only one. For example, they only have contain one of the amino acids. But some of the protein powders actually contain a lot. But I think it's the portion that you've been taking per day. Actually, if you can take enough of the protein, of course, it's good for your hormones, good for building your muscles, so you actually can have a good metabolism. But excessive of the proteins that could lead to other things as well. It can burden to your kidney and your liver. So if we actually talk about the supplementations of the protein in the market, if we want to choose right, we have to choose the one that actually has a complete amino acid rather than just one. You see, some of the bodybuilder, they have been taking whey proteins, which is only one proteins. They don't actually have mixtures of the proteins. So if you're actually excessive of it, it can cause a burden to the body as well.
Right, excessive whey protein is detrimental to health.
Right, correct.
Right, so how do you make sure you have all types of proteins?
Yeah. So if you go to market, if you go to whatever actually there's labels on it, the more actually they say it, the more different type of proteins they actually have, it will be better compared to just one type of the proteins actually it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And also they actually will name different types of amino acids actually was in there. Yeah.
So blood type, food, how do we get started? So we go and test our blood. And from there, you can advise us?
Yes. I think most of us, if we actually have done a blood test report before, we know what the blood type is. So the best thing is actually, your blood types. We start with the diets and together with the supplementations. And also then after that, it will be exercising, different type of exercise. Do you know actually even blood types, they have their own... Yes, different types of exercise that suit to them.
Yeah, can you share with us?
Because both of you are A, right? So I'm just talking about A. The best exercise for you all is yoga, Tai Chi, more calm type. Because most of the blood type A people, they are compared to the other blood types, they are more nervous. Am I right?
Yes.
Then because they are serious. It's not that they're for nothing. Because they're serious, they are details. They want to get things really straight.
Yeah.
So they intend to worry more. So this is why actually yoga, Tai Chi, learning of breathing.
Pilates is
that's fine. Something like that will be actually more suitable for both of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. What about O? My mom is O.
Your mom is O? Okay. O need aerobics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jogging,
Okay.
bicycling.
No, she's going to be 80 this weekend, so I don't think she can do biking, but...
aerobic a bit.
She did a small walk around the house sometime every morning.
Yeah, because she aged, right? She couldn't have that much of thing. But she can still move her hand, so you can do that as well. Yeah.
Okay, we'll let her know.
Yeah, and the B type will be more like a group type of exercises like playing tennis, playing golf, is something they need that type of exercises that is actually suit better for them. So it's different blood type that actually have a different exercise works better for them as well.
Right.
Yeah. So do you you just now mentioned Pilates, that would be a good choice. What about Datin yourself?
Oh, I like to run actually.
You like to run?
Yeah, that's like completely contrary to my lifestyle. Yeah. I just love to run.
Probably you can mixture of both then. Yeah, since actually that's your hobbies to run, because runs is actually good. But it's just only you probably need some types of exercises and to make
calm
you
us down.
calm you down. Yeah, calm yourself.
Wow. So, June, when you take, well, not you, but then when we go and get our blood taken,
Correct.
and you will analyze the blood,
Correct.
and from there you can advise on the level of nutrition that we need at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, vitamins, minerals,
Antioxidants.
antioxidants,
And protein levels as well.
protein as well.
Yeah.
Hormones.
Okay, hormone is actually, if you look at it right, the hormones level is actually also related because your cell nutrition is not enough. So once your cell nutrition enough, you'll be seeing everything will be back to normal.
Okay.
So it seems to be health. Most of it's like a myth to many people. It's like very difficult to achieve a good health. But in fact, that actually, if we knew the root cause of it, and we change the way we eat, and we change our lifestyle that's how actually you realize that the food and the nutrients that will be able to supplement together and make your body back to how it was before. Yeah, that's why actually I have designed a program called a reset program. So these reset programs, right, together with the supplementations, with the fruits and vegetables that we have, and also with the nutrients that we needed, according also the diet of the blood types. Even in a very short period of time, 5 days, you can see changes in yourself. You feel more energy, you feel lighter, even the way you walk, you feel lighter as well. And even you feel that it seems to be my memory started to be not so forgetful, like used to be, like brain fog as well. Because when you have the adjustment, the earlier it is, the faster it will reverse. So that's why actually we have a program of 5 days, a reset. Then after that we have another sessions, stage 2, to sustain it, and after the maintenance. So that's how actually even 3 months later you can see if you go for a blood test, right, you can see a very good changes yourself because you had changed the way the lifestyle is.
So what do you do in the 5 days?
Okay, the 5 days
you reset for 5 days.
Yeah, because most of the food that we're actually eating is high glycemic index food. So with the 5 days, it's kind of like with the right amount of the proteins and carbohydrates and the fats, which is 50 carbo, 30 proteins, and 20% of the fats. So these are the combinations of it with the micronutrients that we talk about. So with the combination of these two, right, for the 5 days, your body will intend to adjust back your insulin resistance. And this is how actually your lock is no longer so jammed. And also because not so much of sugar was keep on pumping in. And that's how actually less sugars was actually in the bloodstream. And your insulin started to be less resistant because your pancreas become more sensitive and knowing when. It's just like a drastic change all the time. It doesn't know what to do. Because now you do it gradually, your pancreas relax and watch and be sensitive. And that's how actually it will be able to automatically doing the adjustment. So that's why the first 3 days you might not used to it because most of the time we have been taking high GI food. But after the 4th day, 5th day, you feel so light and you feel much better. And day 6 and a day after that, it's time for you to maintain a very good muscle levels and also fat levels and also your maintaining a good weight. Because sometimes most of us, when we actually try to lose weight, we are looking at the kilos. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but in fact that is actually not so accurate, because if you look at it right, our muscles also have weight and fats also have weight, but the kilos we probably the same. 50 kilos of muscles and 50 kilos of fats. Fats is actually is more expansions. Muscle is concentrate. You can see the sizes of the one that have more muscles, they are lean. But the one with the fats is actually, it become obese. So this is why when we look at the weight, right, we don't be too nervous whether are we gaining weight or not. Of course, excessive weight of the BMI, of course, that's not so good. But if you look at it when you are maintaining a good weight management, you'll realize you need to check your muscles. You also have to check your fats percentage. That's how only you'll be able to really know whether are you in the ideal weight. And furthermore, you can see the sizes. It will be lean and it will be actually fit. So that's the main thing. Because most of my customers, at first they were very nervous. Oh, how's my weight? Am I losing a lot? But I tell them that just relax. You don't need to be so tense about it because it will naturally losing it because the sizes is the one that count. Yeah, so that's how actually it works.
Does that regulate your hormone as well?
Yes.
Automatically?
Because you regulate your hormone. Remember, just now insulin is the storing fats hormones. So when you regulate that, the hormones have become balanced.
Right.
And because you regulate that, your estrogens become normal. When you regulate that, even your thyroid hormones will be balanced. So it's all linked up. So once actually you know this link to this, and this is fixed, the root cause has been fixed, the rest of it becomes so easy. Yeah.
Does it differ though from when women, when they're 20, their hormone levels are different?
Correct.
30, 40?
Yes.
So your composition of nutrition for the body will be different depending on what age a woman is at.
Yeah. If you look at it right, women's hormones actually, you started to realize, especially for women age of 27, 28, they started to build a belly.
Right, 27, 20, okay.
Yeah, they started to build a belly because it's a preparations of the menopause. Because the preparation menopause about 20 years. If they if 27 years old, you started to build a belly, plus 20 years old, which is 47, that's the time probably you have your menopause. Yeah, so if you realize that if you do manage your insulin resistance properly, which means your hormone is actually properly, it can last longer. Yeah, so the menopause can last even 60 years old or 65. They're still having their periods. So they are still be able to sustain the age, the youth. Because once we actually drop on the estrogen, that's how actually you realize that we are very having difficulty of absorbing calcium. And that's why we started to shrink. Our bone become smaller. That's why we start to have more wrinkles as well. So it's like, it's all come together. So once this fix, the rest of it, and you age, but then you don't age so fast.
You delay it a bit.
Yeah.
So everything starts from the insulin.
Correct.
Interesting. Gosh.
Wow, I didn't know.
Thank you. Right. So from the insulin, it regulates the amount of sugar in the blood.
Yes.
Is the one that causes all this haywire.
Correct.
Not just diabetes, but it affects the whole hormones.
Yeah.
It affects the weight.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know how important that was.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have more oxidative stress as well. So your cell, your body will be inflamed all the time. And that's how actually it leads to cancer.
Yeah. It's also linked to mental health, right? For women already now going through menopause.
Correct. It's because if you look at it, right, stress level is another thing that will
Anxiety,
and even come to another stage will be like depressions as well.
Depression.
Yeah, so it's actually because most of them are lack of magnesium and calcium because you couldn't absorb during that period of time because your estrogen levels has dropped. That's how actually the calcium level absorptions has been reduced as well. So once that reduced, that's how actually your body are not able to function well. That's why people intend to have not enough of magnesium in their body. Insulin resistant symptoms are easily developed and they are not so relaxed. Yeah.
And Jiun, you have lots of people who go to you for advice.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about what you do professionally? I mean, you're a naturopath, but what do you use? And how do we find you?
Okay. I think it's very, this is how actually I will do. Most of the time, my customers in fact, actually, I already have organizations that I've got nearly 34,000 of business partners and also customer.
34,000?
34,000. Due to just because of the research I've been doing. It was, if you go to YouTube and many places, right, you couldn't find me. The reason why is most of them are word of mouth. Word of mouth is because of the effectiveness of the way that it's been helping them to regain their health. That's how actually they will be able to get back how they were before. So what I normally do is I will talk to my customers. First of all, I will request for the blood types, and in fact, actually, if they have health reports, I would love to have that as well. So at least we know how actually we can help them to give them the right diet together with the supplementations and together with the right lifestyles as well.
So you give the supplementation as well?
Correct. Yes.
So what need to be added on?
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, because our body needs 59 types.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to achieve. And not every supplementation is the same. The quality of it, the safetiness of it is totally different. That's why there's a book actually in US and Canada. They call it Comparative Guides to Supplementations and Nutrition Supplementations. So they actually list down all the supplement in the market to tell you what are the grade or what are the rating they are. Are they safe? Are they actually having the effectiveness? So refer to that. That's how actually I have chosen the brand that actually I'm being carrying right now, which is USANA. So I actually combine the diets together with the supplementations from USANA to help all my customers to regain their health as well. And together also the right way of exercising.
Yeah, because when it comes to supplements, sometimes we don't know. Like when I go to the pharmacy, I just pick up a bottle of cod liver oil, for example. Then when I go home, I read an article, not all cod liver oils are equal. Some of them have got some toxins in it, depending on how it's harvested.
Correct.
I just don't know what to buy now. So,
it's a question that's been raised as well in Singapore. In the government of Singapore, this is what actually they did. They realized that because we wanted to take fish oil is because we realized that the good oil, which is omega-3, is needed by our body. And most of the oil that we actually have, like trans fat and stuff, is omega-6. So 3, 6, 9 is what we needed. 9 is something that actually can produce ourselves. 6 is something that we eat most of the time. Any meat is actually most of the time is 3, unless they're actually taking deep sea fish. So 3 is the one that is missing. And 6 will cause inflammation. 3 is the one that will reduce inflammations. This is why everyone was talking, we should take fish oil. It's because it's actually very good for our body.
Inflammation.
Because it reduces the inflammations in our body. So come to the questions of the safetiness just now. The government of Singapore, they are worried. So years back, they already done a research by testing all the fish oil in the market, whether do they have the right substance, do they have the right amount of the nutrients, the omega-3 that's supposed to be contained. Because actually most of the supplements, they are food grade. Food grade, there's no very strict rules on it. It's just like Coca-Cola, it's a drink, it's a food, right? So, but if you look at it, this is how actually we realize that many fish oil in the market, they contain heavy metal. Not just only heavy metal, some of them even have pesticides.
What's right?
Pesticides. Yeah, you'll be surprised. So this is what happened is in the government actually come up with the research. There's only 3 brands which is safe to consume. It's actually it was publicity in the newspapers as well. So can I talk about the brand name? Okay, one is USANA. That's why actually I chose them. Another one is actually Nordic Natural. I don't think so they have it in Malaysia. Another one is Shaklee. So these are the 3 brands. Yeah. So out of these 3 brands, the reason why I've been choosing USANA as well is because of the mg is higher for the fish oil in the EPA and the DHA. Yeah. So this is why I've been choosing USANA as a supplementation for my health. And this is and also because of this, I've been taking this. That's how actually, together with diet, that's how actually I managed to conceive for my first child as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how actually it happens. Yeah.
I'm tempted to go for that 5-day
Me
program.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Better late than never. Right?
To reset my diet.
Reset our diet again. It's never too late, right?
Oh no. Even my mom was doing it. My mom is age of 86 this year. She used to have hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetic. What happened is she was having some heart issue as well. The reason why I came back from UK is because my mom was having this heart issue. So I decided to come back to look after her. So after I actually implement this reset with her, she lose weight, and she's much healthier than before. And last time she keep on having cough, but right now she been eating right. She been taking supplementations, doing some exercise, light exercises. She's much healthier right now. So if 86 years old woman can do that, I guess everyone can do that.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you very much, Jiun. I've certainly, have to relook at my diet. And I probably, both of us encourage each other to go for this 5-day reset. I never thought that insulin is like the key. You mentioned earlier when we first started. It's the key to the cells.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and
thank you
what you do with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.